Kita ka Oloseti. Kita ka Oloseti. Because Akparawa is now working like a Jaki. He's now working like a Jaki. He's doing everything possible to cover up what Mike Arnold said. Because he wants to make Ogenkere relevant. He wants to make sure that Ogenkere is just to promote Ogenkere. That's why I said that he's now working like a Jaki, because Mike Arnold, after the exposition of Mike Arnold, just one sentence, or just few words, it doesn't even up to a sentence from Mike Arnold, Ogenkere camp have never remained the same. They are all now working hard, doing everything they can to keep Ogenkere relevant, which is very, very difficult to do, a very huge task to accomplish. And the guy is constantly searching things to back up Ogenkere activities. But the thing is difficult. And only those who don't understand what their intention is, what they're trying to do, what they actually, what they vow to, to do, will be deceived by their action, because it's no longer news that Ogenkere going to Capitol Hill, Washington D.C., constantly having handshake with multiple men, congressmen or non-congressmen, laminating the pictures, bragging about it, is just the order of the day. That's what he demand know how to do best. And Mike Arnold, seeing those things, laughed. I shared a video where Mike Arnold laughed at them just because they made a post saying that, oh, we are paying Elias $6,000 per month. Initially, they said they were paying him $10,000. Why the increment? That is where you should ask questions. That is where the whole thing should concern you. But Akparawa, as a man who devoted his time to, to prove something, is actually busy doing research, digging deep to convince his followers. Watch this video, not the video, you just watch this, see this post. This post is from Mike Arnold. I shared this post in our previous video. I shared this post to you there, but I want you to understand something there, because Mike Arnold, look at it here. Mike Arnold just screenshot this post, this one here. He screenshot it and tag, post it with ha 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 ha. He did not say a word, but this ha ha means a lot. And this post was made by Ogenkere and their group, that the Elias Graciles firm, Madison and Washington LLC, is paid $66,000 per month by bringing the Republic government in exile, bringing for lobbying services. Okay, thisdaylife.com, that is Nigerian news. And Ogenkere, when this news surfaced, Ogenkere people use that and shared it, that that the whole world is now aware that how much they are paying to lobby around, thinking that this will make Biafran to say, these are brothers are paying something to these people. I find they are doing a very good job. That so they say Nigerian news media are kind of reporting it and they are worried. That's not the issue. The issue is that Biafrans know that this payment and everything that's around it is actually a fake, attempt to lure Biafrans on their side for them to start believing that, oh, they're doing something wonderful. No. Mike Arnold, upon seeing this, he couldn't hold his laugh. He said it to people that these people are not doing anything in Washington DC. When he said that if you mention Biafran, the doors will be shut on you. Do you understand? Now, like I told you, Akparawa is working like a Jaki. He's working like a Jaki. Don't rush, don't get anywhere. Let's go through the post that brought us here this hour. Because Akparawa made this post, okay, 3 hours ago. 3 hours ago, as of time of recording the video, he made this publication 3 hours ago. And today's date is 11th day of May 2026. Okay. So you may like to know what these people are doing actually. What I did. Now let's go through the post. He said in May 2025, last year, David Hondayan, lamented about the powerful influence, role, and work that Michael Rubin, okay, is doing to help promote Biafran independence recognition. Understand this, to help promote independent recognition. You know, I keep on asking you, is okay going there to recognize what? He said, this is recognition. When the same group who claim they are going there for recognition are constantly telling that declaration, the declaration that actually made people to start talking about recognition, they said that is USB charger, USB Nigeria, Ngozi Group. Now ask them, what are they going there to recognize? What name? What name? If they can answer this question, then I know that they're accessible enough. You that is in USB government, rejoice. Rejoice because you are not stupid. Rejoice that your sense is intact. Rejoice that you know your left or right. Rejoice that you have not been manipulated. Common question. Neutral people like me ask. You said you are going to Washington, D.C. for recognition. What are they going there to recognize you for? Briggy or what? Please, I demand an answer. He said again, he thought he was demarcating Michael Rubio and Briggy. But today, Michael is stronger than last year when you cannot see the person that cried in this video again. Don't fight Biafra or don't be used. He said he wanted that the David Hondayan or whatever he called himself is nowhere to be found. This guy you are seeing here, that he's nowhere to be found. You know him. I think last week or last 2 weeks we discussed about him on our live broadcast when we talked about David. You know, there's interview between Precious interviewed him and Frank from Benue State, right? The same guy who don't believe that there's a Christian genocide. That same guy is a very, very, very crazy human being. Now, 1 year ago, according to Akparawa, 2025, May, we are now in May, 1 year ago. What is the new thing that Ogenkere and his group and the handshake and even Michael Rubio, everything, what have they done? What have they achieved in that 1 year? Remember, at this time last year, it was reported that they are doing wonders and more very soon news will come out and news will come out. What has happened? Have they give you updates about the outcome? No. Why do I say that this guy is working like Jaki? Imagine because of Mike Arnold exposition and revelation, this guy have to go back to trace this video to justify the current situation. Is it justifiable enough? No. Pay close attention. Now let's go to the video of the guy which you are seeing here. Let's hear what he has to say about how he was promoting
American Century,
listen,
which was the think tank whose work between the late 90s and the early 90s basically shaped a senior fellow at the US Policy Research Institute is trying to set Nigeria on fire. And however bad that may sound to you, it's so much worse than what you think. Here's what is happening. The American Enterprise Institute is a private non-profit founded in 1943, which has grown into an institution that is effectively the beating heart of the US economic and political establishment. This is not just a respected conservative think tank. This is a body that has the entire who's who of the US establishment elite, either sitting on its board or among its many, many funders.
Just a moment.
And speaking of funding, it has funding from all.
I'm trying to position it well. Just bear with me, please.
All the regular suspects.
Okay, let's manage it this way, please.
Foundation there, Kellogg, the other place. The AEI has real clout in the US. The sort of clout that enables it to influence legislation and foreign policy. The AEI is so influential that it was single-handedly responsible for the entire Iraq war strategy under George Bush Jr. In fact, the Project for a New American Century, which was the think tank whose work between the late 90s and the early 90s basically shaped the geopolitical world we live in today, reportedly rented its office space from the AEI. I'm mentioning all of this to create a mental reference for just how powerful this organization really is. Essentially, if the AEI adopts a policy position and puts it forward, there's a very, very real possibility that it could become US government policy, which also makes it one of the most powerful non-profit organizations in the world. And 9,000 kilometers away from Washington, in Nigeria, two things are happening. The first is that a series of deadly attacks against Christian communities in the country's middle belt and north have severely raised the risk of chaotic sectarian warfare of the sort witnessed in the Central African Republic in 2015. Between 2019 and 2020, I was part of a research team that worked on a documentation project tracking these attacks. That project resulted in this report, which was presented to former US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo in 2020. The report showed that these targeted killings met many of the legal definitions for genocide, and it formed the basis for his decision to designate Nigeria as a country of particular concern shortly before he left office. Now, the second thing that is happening is that a few hundred miles to the southeast of this violence, a different type of violence is taking place. This time, the cause is not religious, but ethnic. The indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, a group that emerged from relative obscurity to national notoriety over the past decade, led by its charismatic director, Nnamdi Kanu, is on rampage, or at least a faction of it is. Now, I don't want to bore you with Nigerian history, so cliff notes. During the 3-year Nigerian Civil War, also known as the Biafran War, between 1967 and 1970, an estimated 3 million civilians on the Biafran side died, mostly as a result of starvation due to a Nigerian federal blockade. Most of these casualties were from Nigeria's Igbo ethnic group. And while Nigeria's government has never officially recognized these events as a genocide, there is very little doubt about the true ugliness of what happened all those years ago. While the end of the war in 1970 did not lead to the end of Biafran separatism as an idea, it was the emergence of Nnamdi Kanu and his IPOB group over the past decade and some that turned that residual bitterness into a political ideology, a violent political ideology.
People must go to the bush, ambush them. Go to the bush, you need to cut them off from the back, ambush them, take their guns from them and kill them. These are animals, are not human beings. They may be wearing police papami. They are not human beings. These are terrorists from Niger. These are terrorists from Gambia. These are foreign terrorists from Chad. They are not human beings. Disarm them and kill them. If you allow them to scare you off the streets, your life is over. Your life is over. And I want Lagos Airport to be on flames. Push the perimeter fence. Go and burn down Lagos. Anybody, if you have the mobile, if you have pistol, anything you have, give it to them, let them go and kill them, penetrate the airport and set Motown Airport on fire. Set it ablaze right now. Then the world will listen. You are dealing with animals. Fulani Janjaweed, they are animals. They do not listen. They do not listen. You don't know them. You don't know them. How many policemen died? I don't want to hear they kill us, they kill us. How many did you kill? How many police or army did you kill? How many? They have burned the Lassa police station. They have burned it down. They burned the Select police station. They burned the Urile police station down. Everything is down now as I'm speaking. Thank you very much.
These days, Kanu sits in prison in Nigeria's capital, and IPOB has been prescribed as a terror entity in Nigeria. But this has only worsened the violence. Since Kanu's arrest, a young lieutenant of his based in Finland called Simon Ekman has filled that leadership for him, with methods so violent and so off-putting that the group has effectively split into two factions, with a faction loyal to Kanu regularly dissociating itself from actions linked to a class faction. Taking advantage of Nigeria's weak internal security and Nigeria's elephant-based government, Simon Ekman has created a non-state militia calling itself the Biafran Liberation Army. And you can guess the rest of the story. It's a mess. And here's where the AI comes in. Now, over the past few months, Michael Rubin, a senior policy fellow at the AEI, has published a series of articles on the organization's website, openly calling for the US government to intervene militarily in Nigeria, ostensibly to help Biafra, which, according to him, is a persecuted Christian oasis surrounded by a hostile Islamic majority in Nigeria. The problem here is that this is simply not true. Nigeria's population is almost evenly split between Christian and Muslim, and the basis of Biafran separatism is ethnic, not religious. Rubin, however, repeatedly pushes the falsehood that the Biafran movement and the agitation by Christians facing real violence in Nigeria's Middle Belt and North are one and the same thing. This is completely false. Not only are the vast majority of the affected Christian groups not ethnically or ideologically linked to Biafran separatism, But even the Biafran movement itself has historically never portrayed itself as a Christian nationalism. By deliberately conflating ethnic separatism and Christian nationalism and modeling up basic geography to misrepresent the situation, and even describing Simon Ekpa, who was recently arrested and put on trial for terrorism in Finland, as a persecuted African dissident, the movement is knowingly pushing a dangerously false narrative for the consumption of a powerful American audience. A narrative which, given the AEI's influence, could someday end up in an official US foreign policy document. While fringe ideas about Biafran exceptionalism, such as an alleged Biafran Israelite origin, have long existed and were even promoted by Mr. Kano before his arrest, they are usually recognized as fringe views and not taken seriously. This was the first time that a powerful policy opposition with genuine influence over American government decision-making is attempting to mainstream the idea that one of Nigeria's three majority ethnic groups should be designated as an Israel by the US government, with the rest of Nigeria becoming Palestine. You know what I mean? And if you're familiar with the AEI's position on the real Palestine, this should worry you a lot. If you're in West Africa, you should especially be worried because if this attempt to seed this dangerous narrative should bear fruit, and the result is any kind of sustained foreign military presence in the supposed Biafra, then there's every probability that we'll find out too late that this whole thing is being orchestrated for the same reason that every other African conflict is orchestrated: resources. It's always the resources.
Okay. All right. Let's continue because
the project for a new American.
I want you to see this way. The reason why Son Akparawa have to go back to play this video to present it is because of what Micano said. Nothing more. This is not to say that the Michael Rubio's office or company or the group are not doing well. No. But when you have a mediocre, remember, people that hired Mike Rubio is PM, original Briggy, all right? They are the one, not Ogekere. But because Ogekere was presented to them as a resident agent, they kind of, they felt like the best, he's more close to the original agreement than any other person. Then Ogekere, having seen them and worked with them, have a way of, giving them false narrative about Biafrans, what Biafran face and everything. It does not mean, it has nothing to do with the reputation of Michael Rubin. The thing is that the problem is Ogekere. I kind of understand why they failed to work with Ogekere, simply because the contract signed with them, Ogekere was there. Do you understand? But they need to see things from a different angle if they truly want Biafra to come. But I felt like Nigerian government lobbying people, if they can pay 9 million to lobby, Washington DC, imagine what they can do since this man and his office and his group is well known to the extent that this David could do some in-depth analysis about the activities and what they have done in the past, meaning that their contact is out there. Who knows? Maybe Nigerian government. I'm just telling you. Maybe Nigerian government. Maybe they have reached out to them to work with Ogekere. I'm just thinking because I don't see reason why they will feel comfortable working with somebody who is incompetent like Ogekere, who may even ruin their reputation. But that's a sort of I'm just trying to tell you my own mindset and my own gut feeling, because I don't see a reason why a firm like AI will just come out and begin we just come out and begin to work with Ogekere freely. Now, years after years after years now, there's nothing to show for it, and they're in position to advise Ogekere. When Ogekere said that he want to conduct congressional briefing and congressional hearing, okay, people that actually advised him to choose the right name is this man, Michael Rubin, and of course Elias. Elias may not know, but I believe that this Michael, because Michael is quite knowledgeable about what is going on and how to complain and get international attention and everything. When we talk about the level of sabotage and the role Ogekere has played so far, it is very, very bad. It's not just about relegating BLA to nothing now. It's about also, when it comes to the international community, they have done more harm than good. A man that David could just praise like this, and he was literally panicking about him, could not get Ogenkere one or two congressmen in his own congressional hearing and congressional briefing. Michael was there. He presented himself and everything, represented as if he's the all and all in that congressional hearing. Why? Because that is what the job. They have relegated the assignment and the contract and everything to make it to become a kind of a joke. Honestly, I don't know why he refused to work with the USB government. I don't know why. Because Michael Rubin working with Ogenkere constantly, going out, doing this and doing that is not helping matter as we speak. It is just like when I don't know if you have you seen, maybe when have you been in the examination hall writing an exam and somebody is disturbing you to see you to take some, just tell me the answer and give me answer to some questions, help me to answer some of these questions in the examination hall, when you know that the person may put you in problem. You can just find a way to give him irrelevant answer for the person to just let you be. I felt like that's what Michael Rui is doing. Not that you don't know the real answer, but you just decide to give the person basic answer that may not give the person a high score. Because you don't want to you don't want to put yourself in a position that you don't want to help anybody, and you don't want to also fall into problem while helping somebody. I think that's what Michael is doing, because he's not actually helping Ogenkere. He's not. And not that he don't know what to do, but I think he felt he don't want to do that, because any sensible human being will know that Ogenkere is just not up to. Now, he said 1 year ago, when the whole thing happened, why is it that until now, that Iroko 3, like Michael Rubin, until now, they have not done anything reasonable? I just told you. Ordinarily, to have congressional hearing and congressional briefing, they couldn't present any congressman. And in the Congress briefing that Mike Arnold delivered with this famous speech that I've been training for since weeks now, this Michael Rubin was not there. Elias was there. Why? Because Michael Rubin know that he know what congressional briefing and congressional hearing actually look like. But the one Ogenkere did, he kind of trying to sympathize with Ogenkere, so shame will not catch him. But he know the truth. I don't want to believe that he's doing what he's doing without knowing what he's doing. He know everything that he's doing. So now, Akparawa, you will walk like Jaki if you don't want to understand that Biafrans are not blind people. We know the truth. Mike Arnold did not receive a dime from anybody. He's somebody that his eyes always scratch him each time he see manipulation, lies, and deception. He always scratch his eyes, and scratching his eyes will lead him to talk. And he have talked about you. Anybody that know Mike Arnold should understand, even if you don't believe every other thing, for somebody like Mike Arnold to come out and say what he said means a lot. And I would like to know what Mike Arnold think about USB declared. I want to know his own, what he will say about it. That will also help us to know more about Mike Arnold. Because the answer that I know, I don't need to ask anybody to give me an answer. I may ask you, what do you think about this, my findings? I know that the answer is this, but what do you think about it? Can you tell us, to you, what do you think this thing means? Do you see it the way we see it, or do you have a different perspective about it? That's exactly what I would like to hear from my Arnold. But before then, I would like you to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it to many platforms of your choice. What do you think? Do you notice the job of Akparawa now because of the one comment, few words of Mike Arnold? Thank you so much, and let me know what you think about it in the comment section. God bless you, and see you again. Bye bye for now. See you. Take care.